Welcome Home Radio Podcast. Are you looking to buy or sell your home? Our team is here with answers to guide you through the buying and selling process. We encourage you to ask questions. Please comment on this show or visit us at welcomehomeradio.net for more information. Bringing real estate, lending, and education together in one place, and to help you make the right home decision for you and your family.
And welcome to Welcome Home Radio. It is May 28th, and we hope you're having a great start to your summer. Here in Texas, we've already reached triple digits, so we're loving it already. That's what I love about Texas. We're in a series about your turn to ask. So we're answering questions. If you want to turn in a question, you can find us at welcomehomeradio.net. Turn those in. We'll be glad to get to them as soon as possible. But we've got a few here, but I do want to welcome Jeff. How you doing?
Doing great. Great to see you, sir.
Great to see you, sir. I'm still waiting on getting out on the golf course with you. So
we haven't played in a while. We need to make it happen.
Plus, I'm getting older. Who knows when I will have to stop. So, hey, we've got some great questions today. I want to get right to it. Your turn to ask. In this market, we are considering pursuing a FSBO, or for sale by owner. What concerns should we consider? Great question. How large do you think the market is that are FSBOs? Is it 3, 5, 6% of the market?
I don't know if it reaches 6, but I mean, I guess that's possible with all the numbers out there. But it's not a big. There's not a lot of folks offering that. Sure.
I didn't do my research, and I apologize. But the bottom line is, for sale by owners, these are people that are selling their home themselves. Didn't hire a realtor. Haven't had a listing on MLS. They just put a sign out there for sale. Contact the owner. That's what a FSBO stands for. Now, we do want to bring up the pros and cons, and it is a challenge. I'm going to say the biggest challenge I have against a FSBO is the lack of disclosure. That for sale by owner has no legal requirement to disclose anything about their home to you. There is nothing. If they've had a fire in the kitchen, if they've had flood damage, if they've had any type of foundational issue, roof issue, whatever, you're going to have to discover it. It's not on them by law to have to require any disclosure. So full transparency is not a guarantee. And so if you consider foundation, flooding, roof, unpermitted work, which again, this is a critical piece. Unpermitted work that is not legal by the city now becomes your responsibility, and it's got to get caught up. It can't. Unpermitted work is a challenge. So that's a challenge with FSBOs. No professional guidance without an agent, without a listing agent. The negotiations can be tough. Would you agree with that?
I would, but I would say that's one of the very first questions is, I'm just saying this, and assuming you have a licensed real estate agent representing you who's been working with you. So if you're considering a FSBO, you certainly want to make sure that seller is going to allow you to have that agent representing you and working for you, because you
and paying them.
That guy. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Otherwise,
who's going to pay them? That's the second level up.
Your agent's not working for free. That's how you negotiate that. And
a lot of sellers are doing that because they say, I don't need anybody to help me, and I don't want to pay any compensation.
Yep.
And that's why oftentimes they're sitting there, or their margins could just be that narrow on their payoff. Maybe there's a possibility of that. But first and foremost, I think right out of the gate, make sure you have a representation that is going to be allowed throughout the negotiation. That's the first and foremost. Then second, who's paying your representation?
Exactly. And then next, a big concern. How is pricing accurate? How does a for sale by owner, somebody not in the real estate market, they just think Jack and Jill sold their home for this, so I've got more square feet, I'm going to put this price on it. Pricing accuracy, it could be under or overpriced either way, and what you're negotiating. The sellers may base the price off of emotion, or maybe a Zillow market. I mean,
Well,
Who knows?
Zillow absolutely is where they're finding their numbers, and that's not always very accurate. And the other thing that you know and I know, when a seller doesn't have a representation to say, I'm sorry, Mr. Blair Thomas, but I know you put that flooring in yourself right there. It's not worth 15 grand, it's worth five.
It cost me 50 grand.
Absolutely. So that's also a big struggle. You're correct with the for sale by owner.
I just, yeah, I love my countertops. They're worth, $10,000 and they're worth two. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's why you need to run comps, have somebody run comps on these very well and go in with an expectation, because over or under price can be a major issue. Underpriced, not maybe that's a benefit in your way. Overpriced, which I see most of these, are a challenge to negotiate. Uh, contracts can be very, very sloppy. How you negotiate it. I mean, one, the sellers, being the owners, may not negotiate very well, or they may hold to that. I'm not going to pay for title, you pay for title. I'm not going to pay your agent, you pay your agent. I'm not going to pay for this. It could make it drawn out, and it can be very challenging. So just be aware that contract negotiations, you're not dealing with a professional that does it all the time. You're dealing with an emotional seller of the property. So, and again, going into emotional, they're irrational, or in their negotiations, it could be a long-term family home and they're just struggling to sell it. I grew up in this home. I was engaged to my wife in this home. All the memories, all the emotions that come along with it can impact the appraisal and the negotiations that go on afterwards. So
Mm-hmm.
be aware of that. And then finally, title ownership problems. Clear title. Make sure you have a title company run it. Do not do anything outside of that. Employ Jeff Duffy. He's worth every penny. And to make sure you have clear title on the home you're buying. It can get very messy because they don't have documentation. This was an inheritance. This was this. This was that. Who knows? They have a.
I think Blair, you'd be surprised. One of the larger items that's not uncommon is the work that's done that's not permitted by the city, and then you go to sell it 5 years later, and the city says you've got to fix this, and oh, by the way, you are going to be fined because this was never handled and done properly, or you just can't sell it till you fix it. Um, so that's very important to be able to know if any items like that or issues exist, because they're not always easy to see to the last minute.
Very true. Very true. And again, a lot of people are going to FSBOs because they don't want to pay realtor fees. They don't want to pay, like, this lawsuit from NAR agreement and all the things they've heard in the social culture media, whatever. It's going to be a challenge. I always recommend paying a professional. You can negotiate your fees. You can negotiate the percentages or whatever, a fixed fee. But the bottom line is deal with a professional, because you don't deal with this every day.
You're not
And
buying a
that's
bicycle. This is a very large investment. So
98.5% of all Americans, this is their largest investment, selling or buying. And you need a partner in your corner. And it's not your favorite uncle, it's not your favorite father, it's not your friend, it's not your sister. It needs to be a local professional that has your back and will protect you. That's what they're getting paid to do. So there are concerns. So hopefully we helped you with that, FSBOs. Next, your turn to ask. As we are hearing about this offer of assumables, taking over the seller's mortgage. Sounds great. What are my concerns? Yes, assuming selling mortgages is possible. There is a golden opportunity. You can get a 2.5% by taking over a VA loan. Awesome. But let's talk about the pros and cons. Let's talk about what you may not see. The benefits, the pros. Low interest rate. Could be a good one. Could be 2.5 to 3.5 compared to our 6.7.
right.
A lower monthly mortgage payment. But one, slow process, because you have to get approved by the lender that has the mortgage. That's one. Two, how much equity? How much equity are you having to come to the table? That seller's not selling it for the amount of that assumable loan. They have equity in the home and they're expecting to get paid. You can't have a second mortgage that's a primary position when you're having this assumable as your primary. Mm-hmm. So either one, you have to bring cash to the table, small amount or large amount. Two, you've got to understand how to finance that through a signature loan, some other means if you do not have the cash. So again, very concerned about how much money you're having to bring to the table. You may be assuming a great loan. Okay, so not all loans are assumable. FHA, VA, USDA are all assumable. What are those? Those are governmental loans. They're all governmental loans. You can, with a lender approved process, you can, and it's going to be long. It's not going to be short. It's not going to be quick. You can't do an assumable in 30 days. At least I've not seen it. Have you, Jeff?
Not to my knowledge.
45 to 60 days normally, okay? You still need to qualify. It is a big down payment or a difference of the equity position that the seller had. So what do I mean by that? If the home is worth $500,000 and they owe $490,000, then you're only having to bring $10,000. But if their equity position is 50%, the home sells for $500,000, the mortgage is at $250,000, you got to bring $250,000 to the table. Understand that. That is not something that they're going to take. They want their full price for the value, and it's going to take long. So a big difference on how much down payment. You may be only taking over $250,000. That's 50% of a loan. Is it really worth all of that of deleting a 401k or a retirement plan or something to come up with that cash? It may or may not be. It is slow, and as it's clunky, I would say it's very clunky. The process, because this loan is already here, all they're doing transferring name, but they need to still requalify. And they look at it very seriously. And there's a caveat with my veteran brothers and sisters. If you're a veteran and assuming somebody else is assuming your loan, you do not get your VA eligibility back until that loan's paid off. One. Two, if they fail to pay that mortgage, you're still held accountable financially for that, even though you have all the paperwork showing this transfer, all of the paperwork showing an assumable. You're still held financially responsible. You cannot ever get your name off of there because it's your VA eligibility. An assumable can be assumed by a veteran or a civilian. And understand that responsibility never, ever goes away. So there's very many concerns and caps to this sort of thing. One, you need to ask that loan provider, what's the process, making sure. Talking assumables, what's required. There's several things in different states on assumables. And then always get a good real estate agent or an attorney in those states that don't have that to do that sort of work on title. Assumables may look great on they're like that that box of donuts, Krispy Kreme donuts, and you're looking forward to them, and man, it's going to be great. And you open it up and it's a veggie tray. Okay, I'm just telling you, it's not always as good as it looks.
Would you say it's safe to say that if you're going to take all these extra steps and time, it should be something you're planning for long term, not, oh, we're only going to be here for 4 years.
Definitely long term. There is no reason to go through all of this hassle. And again, coming up, if that person's been in the home and they have 50% equity or more, that's a lot of money coming up out of your pocket to assume a loan just for the interest rate at a very low amount. It really doesn't make a difference. So,
well, you have a shorter mortgage frame if you can do it.
You do, but recovering from a $250,000 to $400,000, whatever amount you're doing.
I've heard there's people that can handle that, Blair. That's not my spot at the moment. But
yeah,
I've heard.
Neither I know people that can do it, but Yeah. So moving on, your turn to ask our final question for the day. What are the benefits of a generational home? Great question, man. As I see opportunities in this market where it's low inventory, higher prices, uh, solutions coming out. And one of those solutions has been generational homes. And what does this really mean? Generational homes are where parents and children, a family of children, buy a home jointly. You have two master bedrooms, maybe. You have two kitchens. You have a small apartment for one, and then you got the rest of the home, but they're jointly. What a benefit of having two incomes, three incomes, four incomes coming into a home, helping to pay cost. Maybe the parents have a little more money, the kids don't. There's several things with generational or multi-generational homes, and there's real world benefits. Adult children and parents, grandparents and grandchildren, siblings and extended family. It can be done in many, many ways to make the cost of a mortgage very palatable.
And I've known a couple of families who, financially it worked out best for them that they bought the larger home with the detached apartments still right there, but instead of putting their into any type of assisted or unassisted living, and they still have someone come out to help their elderly parent, but it overall was cheaper in the long term than putting them in some type of assisted or unassisted living. So I do know two families who have done that as well.
Yes, yes. So financial benefits are shared expenses, mortgage, utility, groceries, property tax, the splitting, home ownership. Maybe that's going to be inherited ultimately, that sort of thing. Built-in childcare. That would be my wife's joy. Hey, got the kids? We'll educate the kids. We'll do, and y'all go work. Equity growth together, and also avoid costly moves. You don't get the adult kids boomeranging home. You get them responsible coming back and doing something jointly. It's a reduced need in the future of downsizing. Like in my case, right now, we should be downsizing, but we're not. I mean, where would I move to that I want to live that I'm not going to spend more money than where the home I'm already in, which is paid off? Thank goodness. Thank you, Lord. Does it create some emotional benefits, closer family bonds, a supply network, as well as stronger cultural or community ties? So you've got a true family reunion every day. Hey, Dad, can you help take the kids to school, or can you do? But you got everybody there. Grandkids love this sort of solution.
You certainly better love your family. There's no doubt.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
But here's part of the challenges. There's not many homes that can handle generational homes. There's a few builders out there building generational homes. So you may have to customize this. You may have to look for those specific builders because, again, you are offering, no grandparent doesn't want the master suite or a master suite. They want that living space in their own little area. They may want their own kitchenette.
Hey, Blair?
Yeah.
Do you know, is it, I think I heard this, but I'm going to be cautious as I say it, but to have the title generational home, does it have to have two complete kitchens, or to have that title? Is there anything that gave? Okay, I wasn't sure if it had.
Normally, the only thing that makes a generational home, from my understanding and so forth, is that at least you have two living areas that are considered two master bedrooms.
Okay.
So that the two married couples can have their space, and they're normally, hey, younger kids upstairs, grandparents or older downstairs. Or it could be like you just said, separated. You could have the granny suite outside, a little apartment in the backyard. It's still a benefit, but you got to find them. They're not as readily available than others. So in-law suites, finished basements, accessory dwelling units, as they call them, ADUs, or converted garages. So again, it's an opportunity. You do need to plan for boundaries. You need to have a clear financial arrangement. Some people are very sticky about kids parents knowing what kids have and kids knowing what parents have. It's going to be on the mortgage. So clear financial arrangements, zoning or renovation rules, and of course, conflict resolution. You're going to have to know how to deal with challenges that come up. Who's babysitting? What's this? And quit eating my Cocoa Puffs, tricks are for kids, whatever. So I think great question. I like them. I would love to do a generational home with one of my kids and their families and our grandkids, just to have them close by, just to be a part of their lives. But I don't think anybody could put up with me.
It's hard enough having every day my wife putting up with me, much less when you put that many more people in the house.
I don't think our kids could put up with me as easy. My wife has made that very clear that I get back to my military ways too easily when the kids are around. The grandkids, no, they walk all over and that's fine. But with the kids around, I somehow revert back to that command sergeant major very easily. So, hey, we've enjoyed it. Continue to ask our questions. We're looking to get you to clear to close, CTC. So send your questions in to welcomehomeradio.net. You can find us there. Send your questions in. We'd love to talk to you about them. And you can call us for any other questions. Email us. Jeff, thank you so much for your time.
You bet. My pleasure, sir. Always happy to be on with you.
And, of course, our head monkey butt, Mark Warner, Lunatic Digital, they do an awesome job for us. Thank you all. God bless. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Welcome Home Radio production provided by Lunatic Digital. Check the listing of this podcast for the links to our sponsors. And don't forget to like, share, and follow us on social media. Visit welcomehomeradio.net for more information. This was a Lunatic Digital production. Visit lunaticdigital.com for all your digital needs.